Hello, you lovely people. This is me, the Bombay Chef Varun Inamdar, and welcome to Get Curried. Today's recipe is a very simple, very easy recipe, which is chicken Saoji. This is straight from Nagpur. Of course, it has a lot of ingredients, but I'm going to break it down and make it very simple for you. Let's begin. First things first, let's see how to make Saoji masala at home. For that, we need to light the flame on high and we need to roast the dry coconut directly on flame. We need to ensure that it gets beautifully charred on the outside, and that's where the flavor of Saoji really lies. Once this is done and ready, we keep this aside. The next thing is to allow that to slightly cool down because we need to slice that into pieces. And in the pan, we start adding in a few ingredients, beginning with bay leaves. Now, bay leaves need to be cut into tinier pieces because we want them to get nicely roasted. Spicy dried red chilies, of course, with the seeds in. Cut these as well into tinier bits, like so. Poppy seeds. Time to add in lichin flour, which is also known as stone flour, cinnamon sticks, dry coriander seeds, green cardamom, cumin seeds, cloves, royal cumin, which is also known as shahi jeera, a star anise. Just going to break this into pieces so that it gets roasted nicely, a blade of mace, a black cardamom. Just open this up lightly. Half a nutmeg. Ensure that you do not grate or powder the nutmeg because it will just end up burning and you do not want that to happen. Time to add in fennel seeds. Ensure that the flame throughout this whole process is medium to low. In case you're making this in a larger batch or a larger quantity, you need to dry roast each spice separately. Now, because I'm just making this for a small family, I'm mixing all of this together and dry roasting it. But otherwise, if you are the ones who love stocking spices, making things in advance, making a large quantity, dry roast this individually. Get this hand pounded if you can, and keep this in the refrigerator or best in the freezer. Well, I always say refrigerate your spices because in humid cities, it just ensures that the spice does not get spoiled. If you're living in a territory which is dry, even room temperature is perfectly fine. Time to add in one very critical ingredient, jowar flour. Well, this thickens the gravy. It brings in that earthiness, that whole aroma in this gravy, and that is very important. And also, this is regionally available in and around Nagpur, so this works wonderfully well. I'm deliberately adding this right towards the end because this is not going to take a lot of time to get dry roasted. And again, dry roasting is important so that all the untoward flavors are just taken care of. Allow this to get dry roasted for at least 30 to 40 seconds more. In the interim, I'm going to quickly cut the dry coconut that is flame roasted and ready. You can even chop this up roughly the way I've done so that it gets ground easily later. With this, off goes the flame. Allow the spices to cool down completely, after which we're going to grind this, of course, in a mixing jar into a fine and smooth paste. With this, our Saoji paste is done and ready. What I've also done is, without adding water, I just removed like a tablespoon only to show you. At this stage, this could be refrigerated or even kept in the deep freezer for months at end so that you can just cut this whole process of making Saoji masala from scratch. You just take like 2 or 3 tablespoons depending on the recipe and you get cracking. The next step is to make another paste with onions this time, for which, of course, we need oil. Now, this recipe also requires a lot of oil because when you actually go to places in Nagpur to taste Saoji chicken or Saoji mutton for that matter, you see there's a lot of oil which is literally floating on top, which has a lot of flavor, trust me. So do not kind of make do with that. Ensure that you add in a little more oil in this recipe. Onions, these are regular red sliced onions, and along with this I'm also adding in cloves of peeled garlic. You do not have to really wait for the oil to heat up because this whole process will also take a little while, and by the time the oil heats up, it'll all be good, nothing to worry. We keep pan frying the onions and garlic till they just kind of begin to turn golden brown in color, and once this happens, we add in pieces of ginger. With this, a spicy green chili broken into bits. We toss this lightly, and with this, off goes the flame. Time to add in fresh coriander leaves. Just snip these lightly. We mix all of this. Allow this to cool down completely. Once the mixture cools down, we transfer it in a mixie jar and grind it into a fine paste. What I've also done is, I have rinsed the jar both the times. One, while making the Saoji masala, the water is right here, and while making the onion paste, the rinsed water is right here. We want to keep that because therein also lies a lot of flavor. Let's begin with cooking Saoji chicken. Let's begin with oil. Once the oil heats up, the first ingredient that goes in, Asafoetida powder, turmeric powder, and before this begins to burn, we're going to slide in pieces of chicken. Ensure the chicken literally gets stir-fried on high flame so that it starts getting these brown bits. Well, in case you're using chicken with its skin on, which typically could also get roasted and then cut into pieces, well, you can request the chicken wala to actually help you with that. If not, then you can use an open flame and just bring in those little burn marks. Once the chicken gets these brown bits, time to add in both the spices that are here and ready. The first one is the onion mix. Well, if your chicken is pre-roasted, like lightly, you can also begin with asafoetida, turmeric powder, and then the spices. So that's also a trail that you can actually take. And along with this, the Saoji mix. Let's mix this together. Once oil starts releasing the sides of the pan, we add in hot water. And along with this, we also add in the residual water from the mixie jar. Time to add in salt. We mix this well, cover this and cook this for a minimum of 20 minutes. Of course, it all depends on the size of the chicken, the cut of the chicken. This, in my opinion, would take 20 minutes. You can take your own call. The whole idea is to ensure that the flame is medium and the pan is covered. It's been 20 minutes. The chicken would have perfectly cooked. Let's have a quick check. That looks wonderful. The oil has released. The flavors have all become one. That's the beauty of Saoji chicken. This is done and ready. With this, off goes the flame. And this is generally served with jowar bhakri, onions, chilies, and that's about it. With this, ladies and gentlemen, Saoji chicken is done and ready. Make this for family, make this for friends. And if you like this slightly lesser on spice, go easy on the chilies. This is me, Varun Inamdar, signing off. Bye for now.